So let's talk Baywatch. Do you play lifeguard Mitch Buchanan? Who is...
So sorry.
No worries. So you play lifeguard Mitch Buchanan, which was made famous by David Hasselhoff.
Yeah.
So how did you contact him to kind of get the approval to take over that role?
We talked, and David, first of all, I've known him for a long time, right? He's an OG, right? OG. You got to give him love. You got to give him respect that he's earned and deserved. And he was like, look, I want you guys to make a movie, make a great movie. Mm-hmm. Always enthusiastic about the idea of us making a movie. I think because he felt like it was in good hands.
Yeah.
They've been trying to make a Baywatch movie for a very long time. In the 80s.
We all know, yeah.
90s, yeah. So, and David was like, look, just make sure that it has heart, humor, and action, and you guys do an awesome job. And in that, when he was that supportive,
right,
we all together, collectively, me, producers, and director, was like, let's put him in the movie, dude. We gotta have him in the movie. You gotta have Pam Anderson in the movie, too.
Absolutely.
So it wound up being a very long process. This has been with me now for about 4.5, 5 years.
Right.
But it's real. I'm so excited because we made a really good movie that could have easily gone south. Based off an 80s TV show. And it was a really funky thing because when we made the announcement that we were going to make the movie about 2.5 years ago, the hardcore fans of the 80s TV show were like, no, don't do it.
There was an outcry immediately.
There is, and it's beloved. And a lot of times people don't like change, and they don't trust change. They're like, no. And then today's audience, who are used to seeing, the movies that we're putting out today, San Andreas, Fast and Furious, they're like, oh, God, don't do it. Don't do it. I'm like, guys, just trust me. Now, this could all turn into a shit show, but just trust me.
So I have to ask, was Zac Efron getting workouts in on the side? Because his veins look like garden snakes under those arms.
No, dude. Yes. So he had these rubber bands.
Okay.
Right? And I've never seen them before. So he turned me on to them, and I wound up buying a whole bunch.
He gave you fitness advice.
Yeah, I don't know if he gave me advice. But I was like, what are you using? That was great. But I got to tell you, Zac... There's been actors over the years, right? Stallone and Rambo, for example. Our guy in Southpaw. Jake
Gyllenhaal, yeah.
Right? Came in crazy shape for that movie.
Yeah.
Stallone and Rambo, crazy shape.
Mm-hmm.
Zac Efron's shape in Baywatch, this action comedy we have, is insane.
His abs have abs.
Dude, there's six-pack abs, and then there's Zac Efron abs. And his vascularity is so in between every take, he'd go off, he was pumping up. He'd use these bands that had a lot of resistance. He's pumping up, he's doing push-ups, he's doing all kinds of shit. And I give him credit because a lot of the movie he had his shirt off, and that's hard to do, man.
It's not easy. He carries it.
And I tell people this too, and especially with bodybuilders and people who know how important it is to dial in their physique just for a night, right? And even Olympic athletes, by the way, right, for an event. And I explained to them the context is Zac had to hold this kind of shape for 4 months.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Crazy.
So my last question, people see you as a hero both on the screen and off the screen at most times. And the role that you're going to take in the DC universe, Black Adam, he's a villain. So I want to know kind of what draws you to the darkness of this character.
I love the idea that the backstory is he starts off as a slave. And I feel like when somebody is oppressed that way, mm-hmm. but has a bigger ambition and has a greater belief than the oppression that's holding him down, that's a powerful place to be. Family getting killed, coming back from that, so there's a lot of elements about Black Adam that have attracted me for a very, 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 very long time. So I'm excited about it, man. And Black Adam, by the way, has been with me. This is probably going on 10 years, I think, that
mm-hmm.
Black Adam's been in our zone. And the great meetings we've had so far with Jeff Johns over at DC, Warner Brothers, New Line, because New Line is involved.
All that shifting starting, yeah.
Man, it's a really, really good time right now, and I'm very, very excited.
So really quick, who would be your Shazam if you could cast them to fight?
Let's see.
Who would you love to beat up on?
Well, that's a different question. That's a different question. But for example, I'm going to throw one name out here, and I would love to see. I'm going to throw one name out here, and I want to see how the fans are going to react to this.
Okay.
A guy who I met, and after I met him, I was like, man, that guy's such a cool guy. He's a lot bigger than I thought he would be.
Okay.
And when I walked away, I remember telling our producer who I've worked with for a long time, Hiram Garcia, who's on the project too, as well as Black Adam, was like, we both looked at each other, was like, possibly Shazam? I'm like, yes. All right. I'm not even going to tell you his name. I'm just going to say Lone Ranger.
Yeah. That's all you have to say, and I think I know who you're talking about.
Right?
Yeah, I could see it.
You could see that, right?
I could see it.
Yeah. I don't know if he's interested. I don't know if not. And by the way,
You should have told me this when I interviewed him for Free Fire. I could have dropped this.
See? Studio doesn't even know. We've been having these conversations, by the way. But I just remember meeting him and walking away going, man, that guy would look great, I bet, as Shazam opposite. And by the way, he's one of a handful.
Right, of course.
Right?
No. This is speculation. I'm not saying anything here. There's no contracts here.
Right. I'm glad you see it.
Thank you, man. Pleasure.
Yeah.